Hey everyone, welcome back to Art a la Carte. And before you wonder what's wrong with the audio, it's not the audio, it's my voice. My voice is a little croaky today, so it really does sound like this. Anyway, welcome to Art a la Carte. In today's episode, I'm going to give you the top 4 awesome things about the paint bucket tool. Number 1, why when I fill an area does it go everywhere? So here I have this cute sketch of a dog, and let's go ahead and paint him. I'm going to grab my paint tool in a nice soft gray, and when I touch here it should just fill the fur, right? But it doesn't. It's taking a long time, which makes me nervous because it's going to do that. Why? Why does it fill all this, but yet there's some spots like here and here it doesn't fill? What's happening? Well, let's take a closer look. So if we zoom in, we are going to find that anywhere there is a space or opening in the line art, the paint is going to escape. So this is the reason it's escaping. So when you first create your line art, you're going to want to make sure that either you fill it all in, or if you don't want that actually filled in with a line, then on your fill area, you're going in with the color that you want to fill on your fill layer, and you're closing that gap off. And you're going to want to do that in all the locations. Sometimes they can be tricky to find. So pretty much I just go around the entire outer area and double check it. And then once I think that I have it correctly filled, I can go back and do a check, and there we go. So you can see the areas that I filled in here. Even though I didn't put the actual line art color, it's going to stop there. Think of it as a gate, something that's like, you know, rounding up your sheep paint. So that is number 1. So if you have a crazy wild fill tool, that's why, is because your line art isn't completely closed in. So those are 2 different ways that you can fix that. Number 2, how do you get rid of those pesky little white areas? So you can see you filled in here, but you have these pesky little white lines, or sometimes it doesn't even come up close to the line art. It's a little foggy. If you get rid of your line art, you're going to see, and that's because it's filling right up to the line art, but not over top of it. Some of the areas are closed off, so it's not going to let the paint in. So you can take your tool on your fill layer and go over top of this and fill in by hand all of those areas. Or you can do another trick. I want to select a new layer. This is going to be my silhouette layer. I'm going to select my wand tool, and then I'm going to select the whole dog. So what it's going to do is it's going to select the outer area here. So everything that's not inside this area has been selected. So now I want to reverse that. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this depending on your software. One that every software will have is you come up here to the top bar, hit the select button, and then invert select area. If you're using Clip Studio Pro or Manga Studio, you should have this bar down here which has an option for this down there as well. But what that's going to do is it's going to invert the selection. So instead of this part being selected, now it's this part here. So if I hide these 2 layers here, the sketch layer and the fill layer, I'm going to see the silhouetted outline of my dog. Now I can go ahead and fill this in, but before I do that, a little trick is I want to shrink this in just a little bit. This will help so that it won't have any overbleed over the side there. So here I'm going to go down here to select shrink selected area, and I'm going to go about 1. Now not all software has that option, so you can go here into select, and then it's usually will give you an option somewhere in here to do it here. So here it has shrink selected area. Also has expand selected area, so you can make it bigger if you want to, or smaller. But for this one, I'm going to make it smaller. I want it to come in on itself. Then I'm going to take my fill tool, and I'm just going to fill the whole thing. Now when I go ahead and put my line art back up, I'm seeing the whole thing is filled in. So it gets rid of all those little tiny white areas and things that I would have to go and meticulously fill in. Now if you don't want your dog to be all that same color, then you can go in on another layer or in the same layer, but I like to keep them different layers. And then you can begin to fill in, you know, some of the other parts that maybe you want to be lighter. So there we go, a really cool fill area. So number 3 is going to show you how to easily add some shadow or shading to your character. So for this one, I'm going to select a lasso tool, And this one allows me to do a free form lasso tool. It'll select any area. And again, I'm going to put this on a new layer just in case I mess it up. I can start over again. What I want to do is I want to lasso the area that I want to shadow. Just like so. Now, it doesn't matter this part because the paint's not going to come over here. It's going to stay in this area here. So I can lasso all out here all I want, and it's just going to paint in here. So I'm going to select my shade color, and then I'm going to come back on here and tap that in there. And there you can see I have a nice little shadow. Now maybe it's a little too dark. A cool trick is you can go up here to your opacity level and you can lower your opacity, and you can adjust that to be just the right shade that you want as far as dark or light. So if I always kind of maybe fill it in a little bit darker, and then I can adjust it however I want to. All right, and for the last tip is similar to the first tip, and it's adding highlights. So for highlights, I'm going to go ahead and again select a new layer, and then I'm going to lasso where I want my highlights. I'm going to pull in a lighter shade, fill that in just like I did with my other. But for highlights, this might be a little trick that you want to do, is to take and to blur this just a little bit. So I'm going to go, so I have my highlight layer selected. I'm going to go up to filters. I'm going to go to blur. I'm going to go and select a blur and then adjust it however much blur I want. You can do this also with your shadow as well if you don't want such a harsh shadow line. So those are your 4 quick tips on how to use the fill tool and how to actually use that to create shade and shadow and highlights and fun things like that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are new to my channel, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. Also, let me know in the comment section below if there's anything else that you wanted to know about digital drawing. Put that in the comments because I'm starting to come towards the end of the series and I want to make sure that I got everyone's questions answered. So definitely put those last minute thoughts or ideas or questions in those comments, and you might see it in next week's episode. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me, and until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Pencil and some paper, and the best part is having